Hello, good morning. The weekly FX update. Let's just move straight on through. Wasn't a huge amount going on last week, but let's just have a synopsis of where we are. Starting off with the dollar index. This is the daily, and the important thing really is that we're just sort of sitting around at the top of the trend without really having any sort of direction as such. The only thing I would say is from Friday, we've still got this little big level at 96.35, and that was effectively the low on Friday. So when a level's being ignored to a certain extent, at some point, what we're looking for is if it suddenly respects it. So it has done to a certain extent, but really to get the uptrend going, we've got to make new daily closing highs above the week before's high. At the moment, those weekly black lines haven't moved up, they're still sitting down here, so a little bit nondescript in all honesty. Euro dollar, obviously the converse of that, so a reversal on the Monday and then pretty quiet since. The only real development is the fact that a daily level, let's try it properly, has moved to the bottom of the trend. So the low of the week before at 112.15 is now a minor support, but we're really in no man's land. Obviously there's been a bit more on the pound. I talked about last week how it hadn't really developed, so we had that story on Brexit where we had that slam dunk signal, the pale blue square, no follow through, so said okay, right, we'll forget that idea of being short. And actually very quiet, and in spite of the news over the weekend, it's very quiet again this morning. However, last week's high is at 129.27, so that's a daily reference point, and also the lows made on that Brexit story, which is down at I think 127.23, so a little bit bounded. We'll have a look at the intraday levels at the end to see if there's anything more interesting in the short-term setup. Dollar yen, this little blue arrow, a bit early in the morning, still asleep I think, this little blue arrow is a timing signal, so all it is saying is that the previous downtrend has effectively ended, and again we're really in no man's land. That was enough of a positive to say that you're out of any shorts. It's not really enough on its own to say that you want to get long, so pretty quiet there. Let's do the Aussie. Aussie also very, very quiet last week. We talked about that 71.59 level the week before, which we came back and held. So it's still in a positive framework. Kiwi. The Kiwi came up to that monthly level, had a reversal at a level, so that is permission to be short, and we've just drifted lower, so not a great deal going on. We've still got this very big weekly level below at 66.75, obviously the reference above is 68.62, so mildly negative, but hasn't really followed through when you've had a position in theory for 5 days and it's moved 30-40 points. It's not really doing it, is it? So patience would have got the better of me and said okay, well I'll take the small profit there. Finally, dollar CAD. Talked before about how it's just the CAD is really a product of the crude oil debacle. It's pretty quiet. There was what's called a power play signal, but it's coming right into a monthly level, so no real interest in getting involved there, which shows the importance that we're only interested in patterns when they happen at levels. It does require a little bit of patience, and definitely last week is one of those examples. But it's sometimes about what you don't do as opposed to what you do. So pretty quiet there. I'll have a quick look at the euro pound. And That's also pretty quiet, although a weekly level has moved to last week's high, so that's pretty important, 89.41, and a weekly level's dropped down to 86.55, so it's sort of broadened the range, as it were. Okay, let's look intraday, see if anything's of interest. The thing that I'm looking for here, really, as it's been pretty quiet, is whether ranges have condensed significantly in terms of support and resistance, and so where we get a breakout is going to be easily quantifiable. So let's have a quick look. So start off with the dollar index again, easily defined at the bottom there at 96.20, and we're sort of hanging in there. What I'd like to see is a daily close now above this resistance level at 96.77. We've gone above it overnight and then we've come back to it, so that's lowering the barrier for bullishness. So today's close pretty important. On the euro, expecting the opposite. Got a minor support of 113.21, and we're sort of at a level at the moment at 113.58, but it hasn't narrowed, has it? Everything's, it's a 200-point range between the top and the bottom, so far nothing's shifted as such. Pound. And the pound is trapped by those daily levels, so it's exactly the same. So 129.27, 127.13. Yen. The yen has condensed. Remember, we had that minor positive, but we've still got levels above. So 113.67 to 81 is a big area of resistance. So yeah, we're stuck in the middle of the range there as well. All a bit boring, isn't it? I don't think there's going to be anything. I'm going to have to go through it, but I don't think we could switch off now, really. Here we have the Aussie, was mildly negative into the close on Friday, but we know we've got that big level below, so historical picture it was still bullish. Short term it was a little bit negative, but we're trying to hang in there. We've got to get above this 73.38 point on a daily close to get the uptrend moving again. Kiwi. Yep, this is now coming back to the breakout point, so for anyone who is short, it really needs to fail here. You don't want it going back into that condensed pattern, which is pretty tight, 67.98 to 68.81, so it's just about hanging in there. And CAD, that's pretty narrow. The problem with the CAD is you're really trading oil. I don't think you're trading the CAD particularly. Important support here at 131.60. Okay, we'll leave it there. So sometimes there's not a lot going on and you just have to accept that. I don't like trying to force things, no point. Normally counterproductive. So we'll see if anything happens midweek, and I'll do another update. Okay, thank you.